Computer. And then I'll go back to Facebook, go live. Hello, this is Christina Caudill. Hello, this is Christina Caudill with Radiant Astrology. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. I had some technical difficulties, probably because everyone in the world is probably online and Facebook, right? Because our world has completely shifted. It's like we went to bed one night in one world and woke up in another. And so this is really the biggest shift, I think, in consciousness that we've all experienced in such a short time, at least in our lifetimes, right? For many of us. So how are you all doing? I mean, that's the first question. And those of you in my soul circle, let me know how you're doing, what's going on in your world. And so many of us, we can't help it. We are all dealing in some way or another with this sense of panic or worry or uncertainty for the unknown. And it's really heavy right now. It's really intense right now. And I think the first thing to notice is that it's not a matter of you being more enlightened or further along on your path. Sometimes when we do get into a space of, habits of being able to self-soothe and manage our own emotions, then something as big as this, right, we're called even more to realign ourselves. So it doesn't mean anything as far as, your own personal development. If you're struggling right now, we all are. It's so intense and heavy right now. Hi, Tessa. Thanks for joining. And so how are you? Let me know in the comments how you are doing. And I just really wanted to take this time to connect because it's so important for us to really still feel connected in any way we can. And this might be the new normal for a little while, right? Is how we can connect. I was speaking to my friend, and I also consider her a mentor, Erin Ashley Carty, and there's been so much noise and confusion these past several days. And we both had decided that it was time to sort of pull back a little bit. And she had called it a divine pause. And so I really feel like it's so appropriate to take a divine pause. When so many of us, especially in America, I feel like we are the ones who we got to get it fixed. We got to get it fixed right now. We are the sort of bootstrappers, as a nation. And when everything is changing day by day by day, tomorrow things may change, and after the next day, right? So it's better to give yourself permission, right? Give yourself permission for some divine pause. And the best thing and most important thing to notice right now is your breathing. If it's constantly in that shallow fight or flight, you can't keep that up for the long haul. That's supposed to help us in the short term. And sometimes it does help when we have to be focused and be sharp and figure things out. But for this moment, in time, let's return to some deep breathing. So let's put one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly or below your belly. I like the sacral chakra, really, that's really where you can receive that comfort, because that's where the seat of your confidence is. I personally love a citrine crystal. Hi, Barbara and Fanny and Robin. Oh, it's the whole gang is here. And I like to put that there on the sacral chakra, and then one hand on the heart, and then I can't even speak. Let's just imagine these energy centers, right? The green heart chakra light, just seeing it glowing front and back from the heart, radiating love and peace and generosity, right? And then let's imagine the orange sacral chakra light emanating front and back from the sacral chakra. And just seeing it so bright and giving off such light of courage and of purpose. right? And so let's just deeply breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding for just a beat at the very top. And slowly exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you do, just releasing any stress or anxiety without knowing it or naming it. And we'll take another deep breath in, seeing the green heart chakra glowing front and back from the heart, radiating love, peace, and generosity. And as you exhale, releasing any stress or anxiety, just letting it melt away, just naturally and gracefully. And we'll take one last deep breath in, this time seeing the orange chakra light from the sacral chakra glowing front and back from the sacral chakra, radiating confidence. And as you exhale, just letting that body relax even deeper into the support of the seat that you're in. And thank you so much for all those little hearts and likes and laughs, and that might be our new hieroglyph, right? The way that we can really connect. Letting each other know that we love you, that we are connected. And so just allowing yourself to feel completely aligned and 100% resourced at all levels and dimensions throughout your entire luminous energy field. And just imagining that luminous energy field that surrounds you, at the length of your outstretched arms, completely embraced by the light. And so in this technological age, we may be finding that it's actually our energy that speaks so much more than, we even do through our language. And so that's something to be cultivating at this time. And so again, I wanted to just acknowledge that we're all in this together with all this uncertainty. But at the same time, we know we can make it through because there's this amazing solidarity as well, right? And it's a time where things can get very clear. We get very clear about what our priorities are and what's really important. And as far as the astrology, I wanted to just start with, Chiron has been squaring the nodes. I mean, we started really kind of feeling it last week, and now it's, we're really in it. Any square to the nodal axis, it really amplifies that planet. And it's an interesting way because, again, the nodes aren't points. I mean, they're not bodies in space, they're points in space, points of alignment. The north node tends to be about where we're growing and heading to, and the south node about where we've come from. But they both are, part of a continuum. And the Capricorn South Node showing us about, we've seen the value of what control and structure can have in society. We tend to depend on it, but yet we've also seen where it can limit us. And the North Node being the Cancer, the care, just everything we're doing now, we're caring for not only ourselves and our loved ones, but humanity. And with Chiron squaring it, we realize that we need to put health front and center because we don't know how these, invisible things, viruses and things are moving in the environment. So we need to honor that because it has power. And yet, as a collective, we have power to heal one another, the power of patience, the power of calming your neighbor, or anyone else, just giving that little bit of calm. So many people sharing information, some out of panic, but some out of, this may be helpful for you. This is helpful for us all. And so, yes, this is a time when Saturn Pluto is just, so many people thought January 12th, Saturn Pluto met, and okay, we made it through that. Now, what's the next thing? Well, no, this whole year we have to deal with Saturn Pluto, and that is a real moral responsibility. For where do we have a responsibility for the change that is happening, because we are part of it one way or another, right? And so that's one of the reasons cosmically why everything feels so intensified. So we can look at, the rest of the astrology this year, just consider the underlying influence is Saturn and Pluto. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, especially as Saturn gets into Aquarius, which is happening as soon as next week. Um, and right now, oh, hi, Jesse and Kathy. And Sandra, I love you too. And Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us. So this week is going to be a busy week, right? Because Mars, who is plowing away in Capricorn, putting one foot in front of the other, right? And sometimes if we have to pivot, we got to pivot. But Capricorn Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So getting things done and being determined, and just getting up the next day. And even if it's just taking, a few determined steps, knowing the trajectory that you're going on and taking steps toward that. I think I might have mentioned this before, that I read this book, Atomic Habits, which is amazing. And the guy said, we need to be more concerned about our trajectory rather than our position, because the position can always change. But where we're headed to, the trajectory is important, right? And so we know that we're in this for several weeks, several months likely. Let's make sure that we're working toward slowly that trajectory and taking things one day at a time, even among all of this mutable energy that has been happening, that just happened with that amazing, crazy full moon. We can be grounded with Mars and Capricorn. Now, Mars is on his way to meet Jupiter, right? Jupiter is about expansion, it's bigness, it's a lot. And in Capricorn, I don't know about you, but this year it's been a lot of work for me. It's more work. And being a triple Capricorn as I am, I know that the work will eventually pay off. With Capricorn, you're working toward a higher goal. And so you want to keep that in mind. And we might not see immediate rewards, especially because, Jupiter doesn't have dignity in Capricorn. So Jupiter, who loves to just shower us with blessings, is, a little diminished in Capricorn, but still Jupiter is still Jupiter. And Jupiter is big. Jupiter is coming closer to Pluto. And that can have many different, signatures, because Pluto is that intensity. It's the control. It's the power. It's the metamorphosis. That's not exact for a few weeks yet, I believe, but Mars is coming up to trigger both of them. Mars is, that action, that drive, and even that motivation. And so let's see, Mars joins Jupiter Thursday, or, late Wednesday, Thursday, depending on where you're living. With the moon, Wednesday will likely feel it, because the moon will be joining all of those planets in Capricorn. So it's really important to have resiliency. That's one of the great things about the Capricorn moon, is we know we can be resilient. And it's, again, being strong for your neighbor. We've all been standing on the shoulders of others who are stronger and older and more mature than us. And now it's time for us to be the ones that others who need it can stand on our shoulders. And isn't this interesting that it's the elders, it's mostly the older people that are affected by this coronavirus? I mean, as far as, literally being deadly for them. And, we owe them. We owe them, because the world was created by them, and our world, our livelihood, we owe to them. So we owe to our fellow human being, regardless of their age. But really, if we can think about this, is honoring our elders and our ancestors by doing what we need to do to make sure that humanity is safe and secure, as much as we can. Another thing that I find interesting, because Mars, again, moving determinedly through Capricorn, coming up to Jupiter, there'll be a lot to do likely. But I was watching on not Facebook, Instagram. There's this wonderful guy. He's a meditation, master, I guess, meditation teacher. Light Watkins. Does anybody follow Light Watkins? He's amazing. He's on Instagram and he does these little videos. And he was saying, we can Netflix and chill right now while we're, in our isolation, quarantine, or whatever you want to call it, or we can Netflix and create. And I like that, because again, Capricorn wants a purpose. Give me something to do. I need a purpose. I need something to create. And Jupiter is very creative. So Mars, Jupiter, I would consider, because we can just get easily frustrated or get really just even more anxious if we have nothing really to do. And there's only so much I think we can Netflix and chill, a lot of us, right? I mean, we do want to take some time for quiet and for contemplation and even some just distraction. But I love this idea of creating right now. And I've actually had a purpose of helping women to create, because women, especially, throughout history, even though we found ways of being creative in general, at least in modern society, we've been the helpers. We've been the ones to take care of, everyone else while the men create the world. Well, it's a really beautiful time for women to be creating. And if any of you saw Little Women, that's kind of part of what I was talking about. It's some women, their purpose is to be a mother and to be a wife, and there is creativity in that. But then there's other women that, never had the opportunity before to be a writer or to be an actress or to be, have a business. And all of that, it ignites the life force, right? So even though we're in a time where, we may feel restricted somewhat, this Mars Jupiter is saying there's some energy here and we can use it for our ambition. I mean, like Light Watkins was saying, write a book. He had always wanted to write a book and he didn't have time. Well, what are you going to do with this time? Because any kind of energy can also be used destructively as well. So Mars Jupiter is a lot to do, right? Getting busy. Getting a plan, getting in, and some of it is even maybe getting situated for the long haul. Jupiter is often about looking toward the future. What can you do now to be laying the groundwork for the future, for the rest of the year, writing your plan for the rest of your year, your plan of co-creation, starting to make an action plan, because Capricorn, of course, wants to achieve, right? So even though the message out there seems to be, okay, let's get small, let's get, let's just cling to survival. The planets are saying there's too much energy here and it's got to go somewhere. And then on Sunday, Mars meets with Pluto. And now that is also, out in the world, I would be watching the situation, because we've been seeing this Pluto in Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, symbolic of people in power, of governments. Now, I don't do mundane astrology. My purpose is astrology for the soul, for the individual, because it all starts at the individual level, right? And I've been getting all kinds of messages from people like, what's going to happen? How long is it going to, can you look at the stars? There's different astrologers that have a different focus and purpose. And even this morning, I just got an email from ISAR, which is an astrology organization, which is having a huge conference in September. And they even said, you know what, guess what? No one really knows And this is an international, huge, conference of the top astrologers in the world. And they don't want to predict exactly what and when. They did say that it's possible that things can turn around. It's possible that, we can even have a break from all of this. Obviously, out there in the news, they're saying 4 months minimum. But ultimately, I don't find it valuable to be doing too much definitive predictions like that. That's not what I do. I am here to help the individual soul and their soul purpose, right? Because the collective is made up of individuals, right? We can only heal the collective when we heal ourselves and when we live our purpose. But now we can see so much happening that reflects, society and our individual lives. And the outer planets really show us that. So Mars meeting Pluto, the ultimate outer planet, that is about, the elimination of what is decaying and what is not working. There could likely be, some real, it could be even collective need for those in power to really step up, like even more intensity than it is now. Mars and Pluto is intensification. And so I would, especially this weekend, be taking some space from any kind of the, intense situations out there. If you live in a, big city, I would definitely pull back, get some private time. In your own lives, it can be incredibly creative. If you are, working on a project, it can just help you to just keep going and going, and maybe even be passionate about it, because that's what both Mars and Pluto can really represent passion. And ultimately, as I said, Capricorn is best when we have a purpose, when we have a goal, and sometimes when we have responsibility. It can actually feel really satisfying to know that you are helping those who can't help themselves, that all that you have been working toward, even in your spiritual development or your personal development, or even just your creative, if you have some creative talent or gift, right now is the time that it can really be helpful to, the world, and maybe in a different way. And isn't it interesting that Capricorn is often associated with just business, right? So there is some changes around things like business and how we do business. Now, Saturn is about to move into its other sign of rulership, because it traditionally is co-ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius, but they're very different, right? Capricorn is an earth sign. It's materialism, right? And we usually think of it as capitalism and business and structure and authority. And then Saturn moving into Aquarius is a different nature of Saturn, right? Aquarius is the future. It's the collective. I've been seeing, I know Jesse Hine, thank you so much. This morning you shared a thing that had a network of people all over the country helping out their neighbors, giving supplies, giving help. When the government fails us, which is very Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, then the people and these networks and the internet and other people can fill in the gaps. That's very much the Saturn in Aquarius, right? Not relying on the typical structures, the rigid structures. The structures around Aquarius, and Saturn insists that we create more structure and reality around it. They're more free flowing, free, in a freer network, right? So we need to be thinking outside of the box on how we can help others, how we can be of service, and how we can receive the help that we need, right? And it's so interesting because we've been talking about, this year, there's been so much talk about this move, this shift from Earth to air, because the major conjunction is called the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius. It doesn't happen until December, but that is known like throughout astrological history. Jupiter, Saturn coming together says a lot about how society is formed and shaped and the nature of it, because Saturn and Saturn and Jupiter are social planets, right? They symbolize the social. Um, and them coming together is a real sea change. Now, the fact that they're coming together in Aquarius, again, not till December, but this is where we're heading. This is the first time in centuries that they have come together in air signs, right? And so I've been hearing about this and thinking about this. What does this mean? We're moving from Earth to air. I mean, obviously, we're all connected to the internet. That's very sort of air-like, right? That's very Aquarian. And I was thinking, how much more connected can we get, right? We can't possibly get more connected. Well, look at what's happening now. Isn't it interesting how the universe just, we get these kind of nudges, these clues from the astrology of what the nature of time is going to be like. And then we don't always know how it's going to get there, but it does get there. And we're seeing now that we need to be connected in different ways, right? We need to actually take seriously. And, so many people online or, people in your neighborhood or people who like aren't really family, but they're friends, or them through like-minded causes, they're political friends, or, you have the same hobbies together. These can actually create your world, right? And this is going to be more and more and more the case. There's a quote of, there's nothing like an idea whose time has come. And that is going to be the nature of time coming, as we move forward into sort of this air world, right? Ideas create our world. Anything we see in the outside world started as an idea, right? Started even as a nudge, as an intuition. And it's so, so important for us to be following them. I don't know about you, but there's so many things now that I said, gosh, if I would have listened to my intuition, right? 2020 is so, hindsight is so 2020, 2020. And if we would have listened to our intuition, what different decisions would you have made, right? Where would you be right now? We all think that, okay, well, I would be in a better position, but truly, are we listening to the inner nudges? And that means really understanding our own self and our own ideas beyond what the outer world is telling us is the reality, right? And so it's this constant engagement between the outer reality that we create and the inner reality of our ideas, of our inner knowing. I was watching a little video by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is amazing. And right now, I wish I would have really worked on his work and done a lot of his meditations. Of course, it's not too late, but he's really, really believes that we can be supernatural by really understanding the nature of reality, this quantum reality. That yes, there is a reality that we want to, protect ourselves and stay safe. And that's also causing a certain amount of panic and worry. And that is totally natural. But to be supernatural means to hold yourself to a higher standard. We all know that this will pass. Astrology teaches us about the cycles of time. And we all know that we need to stay calm because anything else is not going to help us move forward through this. We will get through this, but we have to stay conscious and do our work, right? All of this Capricorn right now is inviting us to do our work, right? Giving us that opportunity and maybe even giving us a spaciousness that we didn't have before to do our work, right? Now, later this week, actually on Friday, I have an interview with Adam Ellenboss from Nightlight Astrology. I'm bringing back the Radiant Astrology podcast finally, and he's my first guest, and we're going to be talking about Saturn in Aquarius. Let me know if you have any questions for me and Adam. That will be going live next week. And also join our Soul Circle. We have a small but really amazing circle of women astrology enthusiasts. There's one amazing guy in there too. And every month we meet for astrology, and I do mini readings. I'm going to start doing them on the first Sundays of the month. So make sure you join before then. I'm also going to do some group Facebook Lives just for the community on the new moons. So you want to join us then. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the equinox. Hello. That is this week. Let's see. Is it Friday or is it? Yes, on Friday. And so, as we know, the equinox in the northern hemisphere, you know, it's the spring equinox every March 19th, 20th. It's March 20th this year, and it ushers in spring. And so, in the southern hemisphere, our friends, if I don't know if we have any southern hemisphere friends here, but they're entering fall, right? So we're shifting in seasons, but the Aries archetype is really about the beginning. Now, we've been in Pisces, right? And Pisces season can feel overwhelming. You know, Mercury just entered Pisces, which I think Mercury in Pisces can be so magical for us to be able to have a higher spiritual vision, compassion, forgiveness. But we can also easily feel overwhelmed, especially because the sun is still in Pisces too. As the sun moves into Aries, that sets the cosmic new year, right? We have a new year. And looking at the Aries ingress chart is important to look at some of the major signatures for the year ahead. Chiron is right in there. You know, Chiron will still be squaring the nodes. So this Chiron square the nodes is going to be a signature of this year. We know that, you know, whether it's the virus or any other thing having to do with our health and wholeness is a huge priority, especially this year. And Chiron in Aries is also about courage, having courage even through the fear, even through the unknowns. And during the equinox, I mean, Mars and Jupiter are right aligned, very close to Pluto, right? So this is a year, this could be a real year of us achieving. It doesn't mean that we won't be doing things. It doesn't mean that we won't be creating and recreating our world. It's actually a sign that there is so much to do and so much to change, and maybe even changing the very nature of our society and our governments, right? And it's really, you know, this whole idea of we have power as a collective, right? When we know what our priorities are, when we're clear with them. And every equinox is such a beautiful time to get out in nature and honor the changes of the seasons, right? Because that is what the ancients did. And especially now, when we have so many distractions that are removed from us, you know, no going out to dinner or the gym or, you know, all those other distractions, but nature is still there. We can always honor nature. We can honor the fire element. We can honor the rebirth of the equinox. It's really important that we do so, because now is a time where, you know, we want to take our time to reassess. Every day the situation changes around the world for us personally and collectively, but every equinox is a time to start fresh, to start new, to have a new perspective, you know. And I know I even feel it even more than January 1st usually, you know, because January 1st is still in the middle of winter, at least in the northern hemisphere. So let's consider now is the time to be laying the groundwork for this next new cycle. And let's consider that, you know, everyone has within them the ability to help recreate the world and to help heal our world too. This is a call for us to get real with where we're at as a society. We are evolving so fast, but we also, while we're doing that, we have to care for one another. We have to care for the earth. We have to receive the care and nurturance and blessings of Mother Nature as well. So I hope that gave you something to think about this week. Let me just make sure I go over the moon before I leave you, because the moon, of course, she governs all of life on Earth. The moon today, let's see, right now is the moon in Capricorn. She just entered Capricorn. So, you know, that's responsibility. Again, resiliency, doing what's necessary. And again, by Wednesday, she's going to be joining in that intense um, stellium in Capricorn. So Wednesday is an intense day, getting things done, you know, making sure you have a goal, and just taking things one step at a time. That's how Capricorn can really achieve. Then by Thursday and Friday, the moon is in Aquarius, you know, freedom thinking Aquarius, innovative Aquarius. And then Saturday and Sunday, the moon is in Pisces. And Sunday, the moon joins Neptune. So take some divine pause, divine rest if possible by the weekend. And you will likely need it after this very busy and hopefully productive week. All right. Thank you so much. Remember to sign up for the free newsletter at radiantastrology.com to get your weekly horoscopes. I have an amazing horoscope writer, Daniel Fiverson, and I'll let you know as soon as that podcast is live, hopefully next week on the Radiant Astrology podcast. And go out there and just share your light, because the world so needs it right now. And the more you share the best of you, the more you will in turn be nourished. I absolutely promise you that. All right, my dears. Thank you so much. Okay, this is our new greeting. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. All right, for those in the Zoom room, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, wow. Now, sorry, I wasn't in here before. I'm going to make sure I answer if you have any questions. Oh, there's only two of you. It's Jacqueline and Barbara and Juliana. I don't know if Juliana's still in here. Maybe it's just Jacqueline. Okay, let's see. Did you have a question, Jacqueline? Yeah, about opening the lungs for better breathing. Yes. That's so good. Isn't, you know, Qigong is just so incredible, is so incredibly healing. I don't know if you're still there, but you said amazing reaction of the people, urgency state in Switzerland at 12 p.m. tonight, but no struggling for myself in peace and connection to all my friends. Oh, that's so good. Yes, prepare for my podcast. I'm really looking forward to getting that podcast up and going again. Hi, Kathleen, you made it. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry for all the technical craziness. Maybe next week it will be better. I have some, you know, new stuff I want to do with the group. We have the equinox coming up. We also have the Aries new moon. I'm thinking of doing some Facebook Lives in the group for that. I will post in there shortly. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully we can make this work more for all of us, and I can get your questions earlier next time. All right, go have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.